Hello again, right, back out in the shed again this evening, a lovely evening that it is, and what we're going to do here is have a look, have the heater matrix out of the Talbot Express, the 2 litre petrol version, um, and I had a problem with the spigot broke on it, but we're going to have a look at that, show you how I've repaired it, and also why we're at it. For those of you who haven't seen a heater matrix out, we'll have a look at the workings of it and go from there. Alright, so here's our heater matrix sitting on the bench, and control panel, which are most accustomed to seeing through the dashboard. But nonetheless, the problem was the whole unit had to come out because the blower fan, motor in here, housing at the back here, the whole motor fan was making a horrendous noise. Sounded as if it was going to explode. So the unit had to come out to attend to that. Now, whilst doing that, this spigot here is the spigot which carries the bleed pipe from here through the bulkhead into the engine. So here's the pipe, would normally be attached like so, passing through the bulkhead, and then you would see this bleed nozzle hanging in the engine bay somewhere around the expansion vessel. But nonetheless, spigot broke off. Now, 35-year-old piece of kit, not the easiest thing in the world to find. So what I've done is employed a little bit of plastic welding and reapplied the spigot. And the big question now is, has it been sufficiently welded back on place, and will it hold? Okay, now what we've done here, we've rigged the hose up to the mains, bringing it in through the heater matrix valve or the heater control valve. Obviously water flowing through the matrix. This is normally the outlet or the return pipe, which is going back into the engine, but I've clamped that off so that what we're doing is we're driving the water flow through the repaired spigot, as it were, passing out to the bleed valve in the engine bay. And if we look carefully, there is no evidence of any leaking or dripping, etc. So on the whole, I think that's quite successful. Now, before just finalising this, when I get these pipes off it, I will give that a coating of a good sealant, a good quality plumber repair sealant, essentially, just as a wee bit of backup, bit of belt and braces. But you know, we can see the water flowing quite happily into the bucket through the matrix. No leaks, so I think we'll have to say that is a fairly successful outcome. Okay, now I don't suppose it's very often we really see a heater matrix sitting on the bench, and you know, control panel, as I say, more normally, and that's the bit we see through the dashboard, and beyond that, who knows. Now, the reason why this had to come out, as I say, is because the fan, which is housed in here, sounded as if it was going to explode, or indeed take off of its own accord every time it was switched on. And I have a little 12-volt supply rigged up here, and if we put the fan on now, there we go. I think that's more than acceptable, and all we did was split the housing. So as I say, 8 of these clips, and all you simply do is get your screwdriver under and pop. Take those off the whole way around, and then this is where the matrix splits, and it leaves your actual heater matrix on one side of the housing and the fan assembly and the blower assembly on the other. Put it back together again, press into place, and that's it, done. This is what we then see of the controls and how they work. This is the blower control lever, which won't work because it's not wired up. It's just putting a wee 12-volt supply directly on. Then this here adjusts your airflow direction up or down, and as I move that, you'll see the apertures inside changing, and consequently redirecting the airflow. And then the other two, the heat control lever, when you move it, you'll see the heat control valve activating. There we have hot, allowing the water to flow, and cold, stopping the water flow. And then the last control is for our exterior or interior airflow. So at the moment we have it on recirculation. If we open, then we get nice fresh air coming in from the engine bay, and it's actually this hole here, it's this panel here that opens up into the bottom of the air intake, sitting right back centre on the top of your bulkhead. And the matrix itself is simple enough to remove. You have 4 bolts studded onto the bulkhead. 4 nuts, 1, 2, 3 and 4. And then the pipes themselves, simple enough. You've got your incoming pipe, your return pipe, and then, as we had already mentioned, the bleed pipe back into the engine bay. And in actual fact, in a lot of our Talbots, Expresses and various other guises, the reason why we don't get any heat in here is because they're air locked. So if you have a problem where your heater isn't actually giving out air, the first thing to do is get it nicely warmed up, go into the engine bay and undo the overflow nozzle there, and let's see what comes out, whether you get water or a spluttering of air. If you do, let the air out, let the water flow freely, and you may just find you've heat where you didn't have any before. And the only other little point to mention is the illumination. There are actually only 2 bulbs in the illumination in this version, and you can actually access these obviously without taking the whole matrix out. You just simply pop off the cover panel on the dashboard, and then your how would we call this, decoration instructions come out, and 2 little lamps in there, which I have replaced, which is why they're so nice, shiny, bright and new, but they simply pop out, pop in replacements, and that's that. So there we have it, another I hope cost effective, how would I term it, temporary permanent repair on the matrix. And once I put take the pipes off and put the sealant across the plastic weld, which is covered in another video, just how to do a wee bit of plastic welding, then back into the vehicle it'll go. And the only other thought I'll leave you with is it's impossible to remove this without taking the dashboard out of the car. Impossible to split the matrix without taking the dashboard out, but that's something else. Perhaps we'll look at it another time. So again, thank you for your attention. If it's been of interest, don't forget to subscribe, like and share. Okay, bye.